It's Panthers TV with Jeremiah's Chimney Systems, and we're having a look back at the Elite Series so far, and we're going to have a little bit look ahead as well. And we're joined by Gary Moran, the voice of the Panthers, James Brandon, and match night announcer Ken Feast. Gentlemen, how are we all?
We're okay. We're looking forward to the final. I know that.
I know you're dressed better than all of us, Gary. I'll say that. That's for sure.
It's the first time I've put a tie on for 14 months, Ken. I had to ask you how to fasten it, didn't I?
I know. I'm wearing a suit every night, so I'm allowed not to on camera and everything. So I'm relaxed.
We've seen you in your suit, James.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
Yeah. Where did you get your hair cut?
There's a garden centre down the road, so they just sorted me out quickly.
I enjoy the commentary on the games though, because you bang on down the middle there.
I am, yeah, I like it. It's completely different without fans, but and you have to make your own excitement really. But there's been some good games, and it's not as if we've had any real snoozers all the way through to make me think, well, where am I going to get any excitement from here? It's been pretty good.
It's very difficult, upstairs watch. I don't mean it's difficult to watch. Obviously, you open your eyes. Even if you've got a cataract like me, you can still see what's happening. But it's very different to watch a game with nobody in the building hardly. It's completely. In fact, the whole series has been very different because normally a team arrives for a season, and they're knocking on the office door. They want a bigger bed. They want a new duvet. They want an extra pot or an extra pan or some towels or some. They're always knocking on the office door to get sorted. And to be honest, we've not met the guys. In fact, one day I came out before a game had been played. It was during the first week when they were training. And these two guys said, "Excuse me, sir, could you unlock the gate so that we can get out, please?" I said, "Yeah, sure. I'm Gary, the manager." And it was Brendan Ellis and somebody else from the team. "Oh, hello. We'd never met. And, we haven't met since then. Although my path has crossed a little bit with Brendan Ellis because thanks to the great support we've been getting from some of our sponsors, not least Smile Style Signature. He finished just about an hour ago. He had his last session and his teeth have finally been straightened out. So he should be good to go come Saturday night and the first game in the series for the final.
And then, Ken, James mentioned no fans in the building. What's it like for you doing that announcing with that? Because you're feeding off the crowd and reading them as you're going, aren't you?
Yeah, it's like... It's like you're missing the energy that you normally feed off. So the thing that I love about doing stuff live is that feedback, the energy. If you play a song or something that's a bit maybe, because I like to sort of make a point in some of the things that I play, maybe subtly or maybe not too subtly sometimes as well. But you get the laughs or you get the feedback or whatever, and there's just none of that. So it's really, really strange. I mean, I was dead proud of myself because I was thinking. Austin Kangalosi. And I was like, Kangalosi, Conga. And I was thinking, Austin Kangalosi. And I was playing that for her. I was thinking, there should be like lines of Panthers fans, like when he scored his hat trick the other night, just congering around the building. And I was imagining that, and it's just nothing. And he's signed in. Where's he signed? Norway or for next season? So we can't even have him back with his fans.
Norwegians to play.
He needs to come back just because I've got a song for him.
We'll run the highlights on the big screen.
Can I just check again? How did that tune go, Ken?
It goes, du, 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 Austin Kangalosi, and like, come on and do the conga, do, 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 like that. So, yeah.
You and Steph will have to do it on Saturday then.
I wonder what...
Yeah, I was doing it. I was doing it, but it's just not the same.
Were you asking what does Guy Doucette think?
I was going to wonder what would Guy Doucette think about Ken singing.
Let's just have a quick look on my phone because I know what Guy thinks of that. And that's what it's like sitting next to Guy Doucette in an empty building. We all play every shift of every game for the Panthers, but Guy Doucette plays every second of every shift, and he's up there at the other end of the box, 6 seats away from me, and it's all, come on, boys, come on, oh, no, and he's like that all the time. How does it go again, Guy? He made me promise not to show that, so sorry, Guy.
So, of course...
So it's not been shown, definitely.
a personal highlight for me, because I've been listening to the keeping in touch with James on the commentary and kind of what's going on with the broadcast. Personal highlight for me was the James might want to discuss it, maybe like the...
I know what you're going to say.
the assumption,
I'm a bit nervous.
it's the assumption that anybody that has a Welsh accent just must play for the
Oh,
Cardiff Devils.
yeah. That was early on, to be fair to me. It was Ben Davis, wasn't it? In the period interval, I said, asked him how it was playing for a different team as opposed to playing in Cardiff, and which I imagine he's played in Cardiff and he's growing up, and of course did play for the Devils, but it was the flames that I was alluding to.
He was like, well, I don't know, boy.
It took it well, to be fair.
It's better than the reaction.
I didn't know he was Scottish, Ken.
I was going to say that's better than the reaction I heard Cam Critchlow had when he was interviewed in the period break.
Yeah, we better move on from there. But I did hear tell that they weren't our guys, but two of the guys, as I mentioned, two of the guys asked me to let them out of the car park. On another occasion, there were more guys there from one of the other teams, and in the end, they got sick of waiting, so they just climbed over the gate, which upset control room and watched it all. They all just flooded over and fled. It was a bit like Escape to Victory,
It's what like you say, Gary. You don't get to know the players. And I was walking around I was going down the city the other day, and I actually bumped into Kevin Domingue in person. And it's quite interesting. It's a weird feeling to someone you've just spoke to exclusively on Zoom to then see them face to face. It's a very strange, thing.
Yeah, you should hear what he says about Harry and the Hendersons. Sorry, Ponytail Dan Kerry. When he met you for the first time in the flesh, you're all too young. You don't know what Harry and the Hendersons is.
I don't, I'm afraid. Well, I was going to say...
Get a picture of Harry and the Hendersons up so people know what I'm talking about.
I will.
Even the period interval interviews with the guys, you see the picture on Elite Prospects and whatever, and you see the stuff that you put out, Dan, but you think, I wonder what he looks like with that helmet on. And then you see him there and he's a bit sweating, a bit out of breath. It's like, oh, that's what he looks like.
Yeah, but we've done that, we've done that at games. Before even the Champions Hockey League, we came up with the idea that the guys should come onto the ice at the start of a game, at the start of a season, and then we carried it on all the way through without their helmets on, so that the fans can get to see what they look like. Because a fan could go a long time without realizing what a player looks like without his helmet on if you don't go out of your way to show them off.
At least you get to see them putting their headphones on.
Yeah, that's
you know
always,
the drill.
Always,
you know the
always
drill,
good
James.
To see that.
You know the drill, James.
Yeah.
Comment of
we've done this before or something like that.
We'll hear from the scorer of that first goal very shortly indeed. Once he's got the headphones on, you know the drill, as I'm sure by now. Ollie Bettridge with his second goal of the Elite Series so far, and definitely his best, although the other one was a game winner. He's struggling there, is poor Ollie.
Yeah, he looks tired.
There we go. Ollie, are you ready? Can you hear us?
Yeah, can hear you fine.
Excellent.
Well, listen. The series has been fantastic. It was hard work, let's be honest. I mean, the four teams had to roll up their sleeves and get. I mean, you just have to realize, just off the top of my head, international transfer cards, visas, flights, airport pickups, the hotel, car parking, doctors, physios, COVID tests on a daily basis, temperature tests on a daily basis, having the thing on your phone, the app and everything. The list is just ridiculous, the amount of work that the guys at Nottingham, Sheffield, Coventry and Manchester got through. The money did come through from the government. There was a grant and there was a loan, and we've managed to put an event on. And someone said to me on the street last week, why did you bother to do it? Well, the main thing was, this is what we do. We play ice hockey. This is our job. So we wanted to put the games on. And if we hadn't put these games on, how long would the gap have been from when we last played till we next play? Now, as it is, I'm touching wood as I'm saying this, there's a chance that the season's going to start. Might be a bit late, but the season's going to start. They're talking about having trial events and fans coming back to sports events and what have you. And that will be fantastic news for ice hockey. But to have just put an event on, I think has been fantastic. And it's been so close. I think after the 24 round robin games, I think 15 of them were one goal and an empty net. And so the competition was there. And then when the season comes back, there's going to be a whole new line of imports on top of that level of competitiveness and skill.
Sorry, carry on, Dan.
I was going to say, Ken, you're the one who's closest to the ice out of all of us during a game. Is it just intense?
That's why I'm freezing.
What's the intent? You have to wear that suit though. What's the intensity like down there compared to, like, a game in a regular season?
It's so difficult to describe. You're there, you watch, that it's competitive and what's good, but there's just it's almost like you can't get drawn in the same way as you do. Because my opinion is ice hockey's best to watch live. That's always been my opinion. And anybody new to the sport, that it's unlikely they're going to pick it up from watching on the television. You need to get them down to a live game because it's about the experience. It's about them reacting to what goes on the ice, and the energy levels in the building are what are so addictive. And I think that's what I thrive on normally. So it's almost just like a vacuum of that, and that energy is not there. Obviously, the players, there's still intensity in the play. But what I did, and I don't know what other people's opinion on this is, but what I did wonder is there's certain players that maybe have exceeded my expectations in terms of the way that they've played, and there's other players who have completely I've been underwhelmed by them for a few different teams and whatnot. And I wondered if there's certain players that thrive on the energy from the crowd and it literally makes them 25-30% better, and there's other players who don't shine because they're intimidated by it. And I don't know what people's thoughts are on that, because that it almost like you think, oh, they've been better than I expected. Maybe the pressure of the fans not being there has helped them play their game or be better.
Yeah. Well, picking up on one guy who's not even involved in the series at all, but Matthew Toussignon last season, imagine him playing with no fans there. That's a lot of his play and game would have been disappeared from that, because he's not going to be able to get anybody riled up and get any energy in the building. But there are some guys, like you say, Ken, that have been I wouldn't say a lot better than you expected, because they're all fantastic. But Jackson Whistler has just been brilliant. Yeah. And maybe for a young guy in such a position that's got so much pressure on it, is a little bit, right, I can breathe, I can play my own game. And we've seen what he's done. He's been the best goalie in the series.
It's quite interesting you bring up Tousy there, because when I spoke to him last year, just after he arrived, his first game was in Sheffield. Then the next night he's in playing for us against someone. Then midweek he went to Manchester. I remember speaking to him, he was like, and we lost the game in Manchester. I was speaking to him, what's it like? He's like, I just couldn't get going because it's just so quiet.
Yeah.
Like you said, it probably would have had an effect on him, which was quite interesting. But I actually remember having that conversation with him at a different time when obviously that wasn't a thing. He said it is harder to get going when it's not packed to the rafters.
I think one of the things that the guys like Guy Doucette, director of hockey, and Tim Wallace, assuming he comes back as head coach, they have to get through to the guys that they want back, is that it's a different kettle of fish in Nottingham when we have got 5,500, 6,000 people in there making a noise. It is different. And I do know, without breaking any confidences, that there was a conversation with one of the players on the Panthers squad, and he's already said, I looked up some games on YouTube to see what it was like when the crowds were in this building, and that is something that is very attractive to him for next season. So that is something they're aware of, and they need to get that message across. I think across the board, from talking to Guy and Tim and players like Ollie and Lacko and what have you, they all say that everyone is really thrilled that we put the event on as a league. The Elite Series, Mr. Black, Mr. Smith, and the guys in Manchester and Coventry, everyone bought in to put the event on, because it's kept the brand alive. You can't deny it. It's made people take notice of the sport once again. I also think, and I think this is a key point, and touch wood, hopefully for us, as the final starts. One, I love the fact that it's a best of 3 series, because we've never had anything like that before. I love the fact that, as it happens, it's us and Sheffield in a best of 3 series. But also, I like the fact that the Panthers have been getting better, which is something Messrs. Wallace and Doucette said they were hoping was going to happen. There's no point peaking at the start of a tournament. You peak as the hurdles get bigger and bigger and bigger. The horses have to jump a little bit harder to get round the second half of the Grand National than they do the first half of the Grand National. So I do like the fact that, we seem to be on course. Sheffield have been getting better as well. So it all bodes well for the biggest rivals in the sport to come face to face, head to head. And I love the fact that if it's a tie at 60 minutes, it's 20 minutes, sudden death overtime. And if that doesn't separate them, it's another 20 minutes and another 20 minutes.
You won't be saying that in the fourth period of overtime.
It's a long night.
I was there years ago in Manchester.
And I get subbed off after the third overtime.
Yeah, Jeff Holt scored for us in a semi-final at Manchester once, and nobody could get home because the last buses and all the trains had gone. Yeah. But that we won't have that problem this tournament.
Gary, you mentioned there. You said about just the work that's gone in to kind of get the series going, and the work that Neil and Tony and kind of the owners at Manchester and Commentary have done. But to get to the point of putting the series on, it hasn't been smooth sailing, has it? There's been a lot of roadblocks and hurdles to get over. I mean, the fans get to just see kind of the announcement of this is where we've got to, but there's been so many things that have been, the work that's been done to try and get something, it's been amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it started months and months and months ago, and I got hold of Lillian Greenwood in Nottingham MP, and she got hold of some MPs from other parties, and then they started bending some ears and what have you, and I drew up a report, and then that got picked up by Michael Hicks, who's done an awful lot of work behind the scenes for the Elite Series. And then ultimately it went through and it went to the government, and didn't quite work first time round, but it did work second time round. But you can't put it into words, really. I mean, on top of everything else, Ken, the 10 clubs of the Elite League have been meeting in effect every week on a Zoom call for an hour, 2 hours since we shut down and Panthers were stuck in Belfast last March. Not the one just gone, the one before, and we had to get the boys home to the mainland and then get them home to North America. So there's an awful lot gone on, but so many people have gone through so much. You look at what everyone's done, for the public, for the community, the health service, the key workers and everyone. And what do? We play ice hockey, but it's given some people something else to think about at what's been a tough time for the country. So, and that's what we do. We play ice hockey. This is our reason for existence. We put on a game of ice hockey. People can spend some of their money, and you have to spend your money because people have to get paid for doing things, to have some enjoyment. And I hope we've given some enjoyment to people by way of the series.
It's almost as if it's been a bonus that it's been so tight. And then coming after all the round robin games, there was a couple of points in between all of the sides. All the diehard fans would have watched 1-0s and 0-0s, but with your 8-4s and your 4-0 after the first period that we were the other day, it's just been an added bonus that it's been such exciting hockey.
It has been good hockey, and I mean, I've enjoyed watching the games. It's been very, very different, like I say, to be down there, especially sitting just along from Guy, hasn't it, Guy? He's still worrying about the plays. It's been very different sitting there watching it, but it's been fascinating as well and interesting. And I mean, you were talking, guys, a few minutes ago about the atmosphere and what have you. But then there's the whoop whoop guy, and we've got one, and all the teams seem to have a whoop whoop guy. And I don't just mean at warm up and when they're firing the pucks in to warm the goalies up and at warm up before the games. During a game, there is a whoop whoop guy, and I'm pretty sure that Harry and the Hendersons there has got a theory on who ours is.
I had it confirmed by Laura, the physio. It's Kevin Domingue.
Right.
I wouldn't have said that.
I was watching warm-ups and games for months, narrowing it down, and I thought I saw him do it, and I texted Laura and said, question, who is it, Kevin, that does all the hooting and hollering down there? Then the period breaks, he messaged back and said, yes, he's quite vocal, to say the least.
You see, my money was on Andy Dale, the dentist.
It wasn't going to be goody, was it?
No.
Then Gary,
there's another guy we've been talking about all the people.
Yeah.
Andy Dale's been at every game and doing it. The doctors. We've got JJ, Doc Razadar, Julian McGlashan. We're talking senior consultants who've gone out of their way to help us and be on site to help people.
There's also a shout out to the off ice volunteers who are coming down and doing those jobs. They've been
guys in the car park as well.
Yeah,
so many people.
I mean, I've tried to do my bit by not parking in the car park as often as I can because it's so cramped in the back of the car park. It's like a Panthers match night. You got to think about it. You mentioned the car parking. We sort out a hotel, fantastic deal with our sponsors, Jury's in, so that we could house 3 teams in effect, most of Nottingham, all of Coventry, all of Manchester, housed in Nottingham, plus the referees that are visiting, plus the officials, from the league, Todd Kelman, director of the tournament, and Michael Hicks, they've all had to stay somewhere. We do the deal with Jury's in, and you think, oh, great, we've done that. That's fantastic. And then the next day you get a phone call saying, Gary, where are you putting the 60 cars? What 60 cars? The 60 cars that are coming to Nottingham for 5 weeks. Yeah, okay. I leave it with me.
I wonder what that traffic on the A50 was.
I tell you one thing. I was going to say, I don't know why I thought about it then, but with the cars that are coming in, it reminded me of all the Brits that and one thing that I've loved about this mini series was the Brit draft, and the fact that there was that pool, there was that excitement around giving some players an opportunity to kind of see if they can shine at elite level. It's just a shame something like that's not. It's probably less practical in a regular season setup, I guess. It's not really, but it's been great to do it in the mini series.
I like to think we've always tried in Nottingham to bring the kids through and give them an opportunity, even if it's just to train and dress and be there. I remember years ago, Chris McSorley said, you've got it right in Nottingham. You're putting a couple of youngsters in there who won't get a shift against Sheffield in front of 7,000 people on Boxing Day afternoon. But when it is their turn to get a shift, they won't be like rabbits in the headlamps of cars. And I think this whole series has given some of these younger players an opportunity to sit in the locker room, to train alongside, higher level players at this stage of their career. And hopefully they can take it forward. And then let's not lose sight of the fact that GB were going to go away to Riga with 80%, 85% of the squad not having played a game because of COVID. And now they're not going to be as fit as the Swiss elite or the Swedish elite or the KHL and what have you, but they're going to be a damn sight fitter than they were going to be this time a month ago.
Gary, one place you mentioned like the kids going through and playing games and things. You followed David Clarke's career all the way through pretty much. Did you ever think you'd see Morgan in a Panthers jersey?
Yeah, he's a good kid and he's got skills, and his time hopefully will come.
More of an age joke, but that kind of passed, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, there was never a chance, regardless of what Dan Green said in commentary, James. There was never a chance of James and of David and Morgan being on the same line. Yeah. There's a chance Morgan and Mason might be on a line, down the road. You never know. But I've always liked to see the British kids coming through and all the rest of it. But, we also have to not lose sight of the fact that we need our imports to entertain, and the imports lift the British levels as well. You don't have to look at our sport, look at football and the quality of players in the Premier Division at the moment. There's not that many Brits playing for Man City or your Chelseas and your Liverpools. There are a sprinkling, and they're playing at a higher level than they were doing. Because it's rubbing off from the other players that they're playing with. And it's all part of getting the balance right and doing everything for next season. But in the meantime, we've got a best of 3 series against our friends from up the road. And let's not lose sight of the fact that there is no rivalry if there's only one team in the rivalry. And I think everyone should bear that in mind. It takes 2 to tango, and it takes 2 to have the biggest rivalry in sport. I think it'll be good for the series and therefore good for the sport and good for the Elite League to have Nottingham against Sheffield in a best of 3 final series across a bank holiday weekend, with everyone able to dial in. And for what is it, 13 quid a match if you haven't bought a pass? For 13 quid, the whole family can sit down and have 3 hours of entertainment. And on Sunday, they'll be able to listen to you, James, and Dan Green, and be thrilled and entertained even more.
And James, Gary just mentioned then about Brits, the imports raising the level of the Brits. And you were on your commentary on whenever it was the last time we played, you were very complimentary about Owen Griffiths who's took that
Yes.
step up to play with Austin Kangallosi and Nick Dineen. And I remember you very clearly talking about him, especially at the end of the game and stuff.
Yeah, well, he got his first 2 points in that final game, the second leg against Coventry, and you can just roll him out there on the fourth line and get him going through the motions and whatnot. But to put him up there with two guys of the quality of Kangallosi and Dineen, who have obviously played together before, so have some kind of connection, it would have been easy for those guys to just transition Owen Griffiths in. And he started the game brilliantly and made the first goal that pretty much settled everybody's nerves in that second leg to think, right, now they need 4, so we can calm down a little bit. But I was impressed with Griffiths in that game, yeah, definitely.
And then Ken, you're mixing your match night duties with being like almost the host of the webcast sort of thing. How are you finding that side of it?
Do you know what? It's been.
You know which camera to look at, by the way.
Yeah. That's always helpful. That was a direction that was missing it on the first game or second game. But
the first game, you weren't on it.
They'd said it was coming from the fixed camera at the centre of the Jumbotron, but it wasn't. It's coming from between the benches. So there's what people probably don't know is, there's quite a few unmanned cameras around the building that are kind of patched into the webcast, and it allows the broadcast team to pick some great angles that we've probably not seen before in Nottingham, because we just haven't had that number of cameras before. But the broadcast element, I'll be honest with you again, most of the stuff that I've got experience doing has all been live and with a crowd, with feedback. If you say something that people don't like, immediately you're going to get some feedback back. Whereas talking to a camera, it's a new skill for me. Having a director communicating with me at the same time while I'm trying to keep my train of thought, that's quite difficult. But it's been, anytime you get an opportunity to try and learn a new skill and kind of do something like that, it's been a lot of fun, to be honest with you. And I think it's just coming to the end of the series and kind of settling into it a little bit. I think what would have been nice is if we'd been able to have a little bit more interaction during the game, but because of the logistics and where everything is and the separations with the different zones, it's just not practical. But yeah, in answer to your question, it's been a lot of fun, and I'm sort of getting used to it now.
And Gary, one of the big parts of the webcast is the Who's with Woody competition. Did you think you'd spend as much time as you did stapling cardboard cutouts to seats in the arena?
No, I mean, it came out of our London office. Let's do this face in the crowd idea, and then the guys in Sheffield took it on, and they found the suppliers, and then we tried to push it and tried to get the fans to go for the gold idea, and then we came up with the idea of the WWW, Who's with Woody, and then they moved them from in the back of we filled block 15 with Nottingham and Sheffield fans, and then we spread them round the glass, so that it's not like anyone's falling for it, that oh look, it's full of people, it's full of cardboard cutouts of people and what have you. But I mean, the fans were fantastic. The fans have supported this event superbly, and that's why you do it. So they bought the webcasts, they bought the streaming packages, but they've also bought the 50-50 tickets. They've bought the shirt off his back raffles, and you can choose your prize, which is something we're hoping to take forward next year. And then there's this long-running jackpot one, which you have to search for, because the way it works when we've been doing our weekly raffles throughout COVID, throughout the pandemic, it's the date of the conclusion that determines where it appears. Now we're doing one at a time when we do them weekly. In this, there's 5 and 6 raffles on the go at any one time, if not more. So the one that finishes last is the last one in the list. So you do have to go and dig for that one. But I think there'll be a big prize in that one as well. And then, like you say, we've done them all now, but we did all 7. And we've done 7 gold package, flat pack fan base, who's sitting next to boxing champion from Nottingham, Lethal Lee Wood. I think it was just a bit of fun. It was having a look round. I like the Pooch's Corner the best. And I like the fact that the chairman's dog, Layla, was there in the chairman's seat, just itching at Ken to make him play my favourite single, which is a single that I cannot stand, called Layla. And Ken knows that if he ever does want to resign, all he has to do is play that song and then head for the hills.
Yeah, so it's if it gets played, I think I've got a certain amount of time before I can get down the back, as Gary would be coming along round the top to get down the back stairs. And as I said, I think I'd have the jump on him. But as you reminded me, all he's got to do is block the gate. So But yeah, that's our standing joke.
But but it was great, wasn't it? Having Layla and the other dogs and the cat. The cat was there. The cat had some fancy name and what have you. And lots of the fans joined in.
Heathcliff the Handsome, that was. Heathcliff the Handsome from the Nottingham.
So, the black and gold knight introducing Heathcliff the Handsome, sitting with... You got to have some fun, haven't you?
I must say that the cardboard cutouts, although they are cardboard cutouts, they literally don't move. They've made somewhat. They do make a difference stood up there, because you're watching the puck and the play, but just at the top of the peripheral vision, you can see bodies and cutout shapes of people. So you think, oh, maybe there is somebody there, but you kid yourself into that, and then I suppose that has helped me a little bit anyway.
They do that in arenas, James. They have. It's called the scattergun effect. And you'll see it in some arenas, and they're not, ours are blue seats, but the scattergun effect is different colours of seats, and it's so that it looks quite full, even when there's not that many people in. And you see them abroad and what have you. I noticed my football team were down at Millwall, and they've sold a load of facing the crowds, but they were all upstairs at the end zone. So you hardly saw them because the cameras didn't pan round them. And I think that's the key. I think even though there aren't thousands of fans in there, home and away fans, there's no atmosphere as such, there are still things to look at. I think we still need to pan round and look at the cardboard cutouts, look at the people on the benches, have those angles that Ken's talking about, looking down the two team benches, looking across the ice at the penalty boxes and the rest, So it's been very interesting and very different. And now it's all building up to a crescendo, and it's who's going to get the jump on who on Saturday, Sunday and Monday night. And I think it's going to be well worth 13 quid of anyone's money to watch it.
And Gary, just so you're aware, you are facing a revolt from Paws, because he's convinced he's won every one of these competitions because he's always been sat next to Lee Wood.
And we won't mention Dan Green, who set it up for us at one point and split Paws and Lee Wood up. So Lee was sitting between two fans.
At least they're all in the same family.
Yeah, Paws has not won a single prize, and it's the person sitting on the other side of Lee that has won the prizes. But I'm pleased to report, am I not right, that every one of the 7 signed shirts has been claimed.
Yeah, and Paws needs to wind his neck in, because we've always got Mrs. Paws waiting to replace him.
What do you think of that, Guy?
Going from the sublime to the ridiculous sort of thing, if you had to pick your favorite moment, favorite goal sort of thing so far, what would you say it's been?
It's got to be Ollie's diving goal.
Oh.
It's got to be that. I mean, that James, that was incredible, wasn't it? I
have to think of another one now. You can carry on. Let me have a look at my notes.
Mine's got to be Christophe Boivein's overtime goal against Sheffield, because it enabled me to write the most satisfying line in a post-match report ever, which was Sheffield never touched the puck in the extra period.
Oof.
That was so satisfying to write.
Yeah, but no, it's definitely that diving goal. What a goal that was!
He's already locked up goal of the tournament, hasn't he? He's got to have.
He must have, yeah. I don't.
Surely, there's a couple of good ones from the boy Keck, but they were just screaming down the right wing and smashing one into the top corner. But Ollie goes in between 3. He's pretty much horizontal as he just pokes it through Bonner's legs. Brilliant. And the one the other night from Cangelosi for the hat-trick, you can't ever deny anybody an exciting hat-trick, and it was probably the best of the 3 goals that rounded it off as well. And he didn't seem particularly phased in the period interview. Like I said, go and get the hat-trick in the 3rd period. He's like, okay, see you in a bit.
Yeah, he said, didn't he? He'd not had any. Was it 2 years? He's not had any playoff hockey, so he was like, he's almost like. I love that attitude as well. It was like, oh, it's the playoffs now, so like I'm gonna be better now, obviously, because it's the playoffs. It's like that's all. Like just that.
Get 4 points in 2 games.
Yeah.
And speaking of Ollie as well, Gary, you will have been speaking to Ollie throughout this entire, the pandemic, where he didn't go and play anywhere. Just how stir crazy was Ollie going?
It wasn't as stir crazy as Tim Wallace was when he had to stay in his hotel room for 48 hours.
Do you want to know what Guy Doucette thinks about his coaching record?
Yeah. Yeah. Guy, what do you think of your coaching record? Yes, Ollie was going a bit round the twist. You know, he was riding the bike, he was going out for runs, he was working in the gym, and he was ringing me on a weekly basis. But, you know, I think he did the right thing. And as it happens, it's worked out fine for him. I think it's brilliant that Tetz has got into the GB senior team for the first time.
Well, it deserves.
My favourite moment isn't so much a goal or a save, although there've been quite a few from both our players and others. But I particularly liked I like the wingspan on Tetlow. I just think he looks like a giant swan that's just like, whoa! And, you know, all this poke checking that goes on these days, it allows Tetz to poke check from one side of the ring to the other almost. I mean, he's 2 strides and a stretch from being on the other boards. So I've enjoyed watching his development. I think Kells has been doing a great job on that third line and on the penalty kill and what have you. And, you know, there's a long way to go. Let's not lose sight of it. But I was impressed with the way Panthers dealt with Coventry in the semi-final. And it's going to be a very different game against the Sheffield Steelers Saturday, Sunday and Monday. But, you know, we're in it. And Doc Durdle used to say to me, we're in it. We might as well win it.